grand hall of eternal victory echoed with the triumphant roars of 1,000 species. The Empire, a sprawling dominion that spanned not just galaxies but epochs, had just claimed its greatest prize, the subjugation of the Milky Way's most stubborn holdout, Earth. Emperor Vexor, a towering figure clad in armor woven from temporal threads that shimmered with stolen futures, stood atop a dais forged from the compressed remnants of collapsed timelines. His voice, amplified by chronal amplifiers, boomed across the hall. Behold, loyal subjects. The primitives of Sol 3, those who dared to cling to their linear existence, have fallen. Their fleets are dust in the winds of history. Their leaders kneel before our chronolegions. Today, we celebrate not just a victory, but the eternal unification of all timelines under our banner. The crowd erupted. Aliens of every conceivable form, tentacled horrors from the depths of gas giants, ethereal beings of pure energy from neutron stars, and biomechanical hybrids from forgotten wars, cheered in a cacophony that warped the air. Fireworks of inverted causality exploded overhead, rewriting minor events in the past to create spectacles in the present. Servants, bound by temporal oaths, distributed nectar distilled from the essence of unborn stars, ensuring that every sip granted visions of the Empire's unending glory. Among the revelers was High Chronomancer Lyriel, a slender, iridescent-skinned advisor whose eyes held the swirl of infinite possibilities. She had orchestrated the final assault on Earth, using the Empire's greatest weapon, the Timeline Weaver. This colossal device, housed in the heart of the Imperial Citadel, allowed the Empire to splice, merge, and shatter timelines at will. It was through the Weaver that they had anticipated humanity's every move, preempting rebellions before they could even be conceived. But as Lyriel raised her goblet, a faint tremor rippled through her perception, a glitch in the chronal flow, subtle as a whisper in a storm. She dismissed it. After all, the Empire had won. Humanity, with its quaint notions of free will and unalterable history, was no match for beings who treated time as a plaything. On Earth, or what remained of it after the conquest, the ruins of once great cities smoldered under a sky scarred by orbital bombardments. The Empire's forces had descended like locusts, their ships phasing in and out of reality to strike, without warning. Billions had perished, but a few survivors huddled in underground bunkers, clinging to fragments of their world. Dr. Alara Voss, a brilliant temporal physicist in her mid-40s, with sharp features etched by years of clandestine research, paced the dimly lit command center of the last human resistance. Her team, a ragtag group of scientists, soldiers, and hackers, watched her with weary eyes. The air hummed with the low whine of jury-rigged quantum computers pieced together from salvaged tech. "We can't fight them in the present," Alara said, her voice steady despite the despair gnawing at her. "They own time. But what if we break it? What if we shatter the very fabric they've woven?" Her second-in-command, Captain Marcus Hale, a grizzled veteran with cybernetic enhancements replacing limbs lost in earlier skirmishes, leaned against a console. "The Echo device. You're talking about activating it." Alara nodded. The Echo device was humanity's desperate gambit, a prototype machine born from forbidden experiments in quantum entanglement and retrocausality. Unlike the Empire's Weaver, which manipulated timelines with precision, the Echo was a blunt instrument. It could send ripples backward through time, creating echoes that disrupted established events. But it was untested, unstable. Activating it risked unraveling not just the Empire's conquest, but reality itself. "We have no choice," Alara insisted. "The Empire thinks they've erased our future. Let's erase their past." As the team prepared, alarms blared. Imperial scouts had detected their hideout. Phased energy blasts shook the bunker, crumbling walls. Alara's fingers flew over the controls, initiating the sequence. The device powered up, its core glowing with an unnatural blue light that seemed to pull at the edges of perception. Activating in 3, 2, 1. A pulse erupted, invisible yet omnipotent, racing through the time stream like a shockwave. Back in the Grand Hall, the celebration faltered. Emperor Vexor froze mid-toast as the chronal tremor Lyriel had sensed amplified into a quake. Glasses shattered, not from impact, but from futures that suddenly ceased to exist. Guests screamed as their bodies flickered, memories rewriting themselves in real time. "What is this?" Vexor bellowed, his voice distorting as temporal echoes overlapped. Lyriel rushed to a holographic display, her hands weaving diagnostic spells. "An anomaly, my lord. From the conquered world. It's breaking the weave." Impossible. The timeline weaver should have foreseen this. But as Lyriel delved deeper, she saw the fracture, a human invention, crude yet devastating, sending chaotic echoes into the past. Events that had led to the Empire's rise were unraveling. Alliances forged centuries ago dissolved, battles won turned to losses. "We must stabilize it," Vexor commanded. But it was too late. The first cracks appeared. In the annals of the Chronos Empire, the conquest of Earth was meant to be the pinnacle of their expansion. Founded eons ago by the first chronarchs, beings who had transcended mortality by merging with the time stream, the Empire had grown by absorbing lesser civilizations. They didn't just conquer space, they conquered causality. Planets fell not through brute force alone, but by altering histories so that resistance never formed. Earth had been a thorn. Humans, with their rapid technological evolution and stubborn adherence to linear time, had developed rudimentary shields against temporal incursions. The Empire's initial probes were rebuffed, timelines snapping back like elastic bands. It took Lyriel's genius to breach them, by splicing in false histories where humanity welcomed the invaders. Now, as the echo's ripple spread, those splices frayed. Lyriel teleported to the Weaver's chamber, a vast cavern where threads of light represented infinite timelines. The machine, a colossal orb pulsing with energy, groaned under strain. Technicians scurried, but anomalies multiplied. One thread showed the Empire's founding war lost, another depicted Vexor assassinated in his youth. "The humans have weaponized chaos," Lyriel muttered. "Their device doesn't control time, it corrupts it." She initiated countermeasures, weaving reinforcement spells to mend the breaks. But for every fix, 2 more fractures appeared. The echo wasn't targeted, it was a virus in the time stream, mutating events randomly. Meanwhile, on Earth, Alera's bunker held against the assault, but barely. The echo device hummed, its power drawing from the planet's geothermal core. "It's working," Marcus reported, monitoring feeds. "Imperial ships are phasing erratically. Some are vanishing entirely." Alera watched a view screen as reality warped. Skies flickered with alternate histories. One moment, the Empire's fleet dominated. The next, human armadas from erased timelines appeared, firing salvos. But victory came at a cost. The device was overheating, feedback loops threatening to consume the bunker. "We need to modulate the output," Alera said, sweat beading on her forehead. "If we push too hard, we'll erase ourselves." As the team adjusted, a temporal ghost materialized, a projection from the Empire. Lyriel's form shimmered into view, her eyes blazing. "Fools. You tamper with forces beyond your comprehension. Cease this, and we may spare your timeline." Alera met her gaze. "You stole our future. We're taking it back, even if it means breaking everything." The projection lunged, but Marcus disrupted it with an EMP burst. Outside, the battle intensified. Imperial ground troops, elite chrono guards who could rewind personal injuries, stormed the entrance. Blasts echoed as human defenders fell back. In the Weaver's chamber, Vexor arrived, his presence amplifying the machine's power. "Redirect all energy to the primary timeline. Sacrifice the peripherals if needed." Lyriel obeyed, but doubt crept in. The Empire had always assumed supremacy, but humanity's desperation birthed innovation. As she worked, a vision assaulted her. An alternate past where the first chronarchs never discovered time manipulation, dooming the Empire to obscurity. "No," she whispered. "This cannot be." The fractures grew. Across the Empire's domains, rebellions ignited in timelines thought secure. Conquered species, their subjugations undone, rose up. Planets declared independence as histories rewrote themselves. Back on Earth, the resistance pushed forward. Alera's team breached the surface, joining allied forces from splintered realities. Human ships, pulled from what-ifs, engaged the faltering Imperial fleet. Lasers crossed with chronal beams, explosions blooming in voids of non-time. Alera piloted a makeshift fighter, dodging phased torpedoes. "Target their command vessel," she radioed. Marcus, in a companion craft, acknowledged. "On it." But the echoes destabilizing. We might not have long. As they closed in, a massive rift tore open in space, a tear in the time stream, birthing monstrosities from aborted realities. Tentacled voids and screaming anomalies attacked both sides indiscriminately. In the Imperial Citadel, panic reigned. Vexor gripped the Weaver's controls, forcing a desperate gambit, a full reset, collapsing all timelines into one unbreakable chain. "If we cannot rule the multiverse, we will forge a singularity." Lyriel hesitated. "My lord, that would erase countless lives, our own included in the variance." Vexor's eyes glowed with madness. Better oblivion than defeat. He activated the protocol. Energy surged, pulling threads inward. But the Echo's corruption interfered, twisting the reset into a feedback loop. On Earth, Alera felt the pull, a gravitational force on time itself. "It's collapsing. We have to shut down the Echo." But it was too late. The device, now autonomous in its chaos, pulsed one final time. Reality shattered. When the dust settled, or rather, when the time streams recrystallized, nothing was as it had been. Emperor Vexor awoke in a barren throne room, the grand hall reduced to ruins. His armor hung in tatters, temporal threads unraveled. Lyriel lay nearby, her form faded, memories fragmented. "What happened?" he croaked. Lyriel stirred. "The humans broke it all. The Weaver is gone." Timelines merged chaotically. Across the galaxy, the Empire fragmented. Planets spun in isolation. Histories jumbled. Species forgot their conquests, living in patchwork realities. On Earth, Alera Voss opened her eyes in a rebuilt city. The sky was clear, no scars from bombardment. Around her, people moved with purpose, rebuilding. Marcus approached, his cybernetics intact, but his expression one of wonder. "Did we win?" he asked. Alera looked at the horizon, where faint echoes of other worlds shimmered. "We survived. But the timeline, it's ours now. No more empires dictating fate." Humanity had not just resisted, they had redefined existence. Time, once a weapon, became a canvas, fluid, unpredictable, free. Yet, in quiet moments, Alera wondered if the Empire lingered in some splintered thread, plotting revenge. She vowed to watch the time stream, ready to break it again if needed. For in breaking the timeline, humanity had discovered true power, the chaos of choice. In the years that followed, Earth flourished in its newfound autonomy. Without the shadow of the Chronos Empire, human innovation surged. Temporal research, once a tool of war, evolved into tools for peace, devices that allowed glimpses into possible futures, aiding decisions in medicine, ecology, and governance. Cities rose taller, integrated with nature, powered by quantum energies harnessed from the Echo's remnants. Alera became a legend, not as a destroyer, but as a liberator. Schools taught her story, how a single act of defiance unraveled an eternal tyranny. Monuments depicted the Echo device, a symbol of humanity's resilience. But echoes persisted. Travelers from distant stars arrived, bearing tales of fractured empires. Some spoke of Vexor, reduced to a wandering exile, scavenging lost timelines for scraps of power. Lyriel, it was said, had defected, seeking redemption by aiding oppressed worlds. One evening, as Alera stood on a balcony overlooking New Terra's glowing skyline, a temporal anomaly flickered, a message from the past, or perhaps a warning from the future. "Be vigilant," it whispered. "The weave mends itself." She smiled faintly. Humanity had broken the timeline once. they could do it again. And so, the story of conquest turned to one of liberation, a testament to the indomitable spirit that even empires of time could not contain.